Who ruined your family Christmas this year, and what did they do? My sister falsely accused me of rape yesterday from 5 years ago because I told my parents yesterday that she was physically and verbally abusing me for this whole quarantine. I was sick and tired of enduring it just because I was the big brother. Made me so infuriated that she makes something so serious like that up just to save herself, saying that was the reason why I did all those things. It made me cry so much and made me suicidal that my family believes her, and they had a messed up image of me. I pleaded my family to hire a polygraph test for both of us or a detective or something to prove my innocence, but she cried more and says even though it's hard she will forgive me, trying to avoid the polygraph test. I would never even think of the possibility of doing anything remotely close to what she was describing, and people who sexually assault others disgust me so much. Really ruined today's Christmas and makes me so depressed that my family now sees me in that way and is siding with her. Update: it's now December 26th and the issue has been resolved. I pleaded to my parents to please try and interrogate my sister again, cause her story kept changing with little details and she piled on more misinformation to make me look bad. There was an ultimatum for a polygraph as this was really causing a lot of hardship within the family, and she broke down and came clean that she lied in order to avoid punishment the first time. My parents and I cried together for almost an hour together. I finally could eat dinner with them, and I got to open presents with them. My sister still went scot-free and acts like nothing happened, but I can't even look at her face or go near her. Anyways, thank you for everyone that gave me advice, comfort, or just an ear to hear during this hard time. Happy holidays everyone. Not a family member. My grandma is into spiritist stuff, whatever. She's happy and it's not like the money she gives put her well-being in jeopardy. We found out that the people to one she's been giving money for years is scamming her for a very large amount of money. My dad and uncle stopped taking her to that place, and they called her from the place, and convinced her that her family wants to do her harm. She was very sour and barely spoke to anyone. That added to the fact that Christmas was a very small meeting this year and some of us were there for less than an hour. We're not sure if that can be legally denounced as scamming, and it's very difficult to talk to my grandma about that subject. People were bitter and worried. It was a very tense meeting. Edit: yeah, spiritist or spiritualism, a mix between a lot faith in God and angels and spirits and such, and the believe that there are people using witchcraft to harm her. I just went through that. I also found out yesterday my 22-year-old cousin was also abused. Her family kept her from associating with me for 18 years. Because I told about my abuse a long time ago. I let the cat out of the bag. They didn't want her associating with me and told her I was crazy. Her grandfather abused me. Well, I found her on social media and reached out. I turned 39 today and saw her profile. I wondered about her. I sent an email. She responded, and come to find out she's also a survivor. Another cousin abused her. Abuse repeating itself again. Every male in her grandfather's side is an abusive piece of shit. No one talks about it and carries on like normal. She also said her grandpa is pervert. Spends his days watching porn and bragging about cheating on grandma. So she knew something was up. But no one would tell her. Although I'm sad we bonded over trauma. I was able to validate a lot of unknowns she had. Like why did I disappear and everyone referred to me as the crazy one. As well as why her abuse happened. Or why is everyone so secretive about certain family members and incidents. We have made plans to see each other once COVID is somewhat over. I am so glad I reached out to her. We talked for hours about how fucked up our family is and vowed to break the curse of generational abuse and trauma. Hey, as someone dreading some horrible news on the 28th and 29th too, I'm with you. Let's both try to enjoy what we can and live each day at a time, 'cause that's all we can do. It's like that Kung Fu Panda quote, today is a gift, that's why it's called a present. Enjoy it. Edit: thank you, you/trackjackers for the award. I'll definitely need your energy. I don't have awards to give, but I most definitely am wishing you the very best holidays and know that I'll use your energy and channel it into taking care of my family. Thank you. Edit 2, holy moly, thank you so much, you/shadow_ziffer for the second award. Wow. If I had known that Kung Fu Panda quotes would bond us all, I would have been spewing it since day one. Hope you're having the very best holiday. I really appreciate it. Edit 3, so many kind strangers on Reddit. Thank you, you/Antubis91 for giving me a wholesome award. Wow, I'm so grateful for you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. My family thanks you too. I was really hoping OP will be encouraged by it, and as it turns out, you all encouraged me too. Thank you. Right, so, my sister and I have never gotten along very well. She got engaged and married within maybe 4 to 5 months when she was 21. We went wedding dress shopping on Valentine's Day, wedding at the end of May. By the 4th of July, her new husband moved out of their house and in with his parents. The divorce wasn't officially finalized until the next Valentine's Day. So technically, this was while she was still legally married. She quickly met a new guy and decided to bring him to Christmas. The new boyfriend had a few beers and started acting like a jackass. He pointed to the semicolon tattoo I have on my wrist and said, "Doesn't that mean you got raped?" She laughed. I did not. A bit of time passed and she started picking on me. Just being mean to impress her new BF. So I brought up the wedding. Everyone went dead silent for a second. The boyfriend laughed. She did not. She grabbed him by the arm and said, "We're leaving." And they did. Edit, a lot of people have been asking about the semicolon tattoo. It's a symbol for mental health. When writing, an author can choose to use a period to end a sentence, or they could choose to use a semicolon to pause the sentence and continue on. It represents the choice to pause and continue living. Many people decide to get a semicolon tattoo to show they are a survivor. For others, it shows solidarity and support for those who are struggling. My dad was hospitalized for alcoholism recently and now he's home. I'm the only family member left who will take care of him and help organize his care/life since my brother doesn't have any capacity to care whatsoever and is off having a happy little Christmas of his own. I came to spend Christmas with my dad even though he's in a bad mood and argumentative about things. He has carers that come in 4 times a day between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. which does not change over the holidays. I found that 2 expensive items have been stolen from his house last night. There are only carers that come in, so it must have been them. Had 2 hours sleep last night because my dad has searing toothache and today I've had to call the medical care line to book a dental appointment for Sunday for him, so we'll have to extend my stay with him to take care of that and get him there, even though I can't drive. There's no Christmas dinner, nothing special at all, and I'm very tired. Edit, just to say, oh my god, I absolutely love each and every one of you on this site. I swear to God you are all wonderful. Thank you so much for your comment. I wish she knew that I love her so much and don't judge her for being ill. It's a disease and it's not her fault. I told her all this but it fell on deaf ears, because I just can't get through to her core. She gets very defensive and starts accusing people of just wanting her to be numb zombie on meds and to be quiet. Of course no one wants that. I tried to be there for her for many years, listen to her and be gentle, suggesting other treatments than medication, but there is no reason for treatment when she claims that she isn't, never was and never will be bipolar. Thing is, she has diagnosis, used to take meds and was even hospitalized. I'm scared for her life and it's tearing me apart. This was first major time I stood up for myself. I used to just take it, because I believed that if I won't be there for her, nobody will and something terrible may happen. But I just couldn't take it anymore. I can't help a person who won't let themselves be helped, and deny them needing help. I tried talking to her multiple times over the 3 days but to no avail. but if perhaps one day she'll accept that she needs help, I will be there for her. Until then, I need to focus on myself. Thanks for letting me know that there is a hope that she might find acceptance eventually. I can't bear losing her, and I've already almost given up hope that it might get better someday. I may not know you, but I'm grateful that you are taking care of yourself for your sake and for the sake of your loved ones. I'm not bipolar, and thus won't know how hard it is to live with the condition, but I know how it is to live with someone who doesn't take the disorder seriously, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Woke up at 4:30 a.m. to the sound of my dog throwing up. After cleaning up and snuggling with him, 6 a.m. rolls around and he starts having shallow breathing. Been sitting in the vet ER parking lot since then and waiting for his exam to finish after being diagnosed with pneumonia and a $900 bill. Update: Brownie is doing much better and is on antibiotics. According to the vet, he should be feeling much better in the next 24 to 48 hours. Pic of the culprit when we got home. Edit: thank you all for the kind words. I've responded to several of you generous and lovely humans already, but figured I'd make a general statement here. I really appreciate your offers to help chip in for the vet bill, but we are fortunate enough to have emergency savings ready for this very thing. Please, please, please consider donating whatever you were thinking to your local animal shelter, though that would mean so much to Brownie and me. Not every pet is as lucky as Brownie is, to have a loving forever home to take care of them when they get sick. Last week, FedEx delivered some of the gifts I'd ordered, but instead of placing them on my porch, they left them behind my vehicle in the driveway. I subsequently backed over them when I went to get groceries. Edit 1, to try and answer some common questions from the comments. Holiday not really ruined, just a frustrating turn of events. No kids, indoor-only pets. Long, private drive separated by several hundred feet of woods in each direction from neighbors. Packages were small enough to pass beneath the bumper of the truck, and positioned close enough that they could not be seen from the rear and side view mirrors. I live in a remote enough location that porch pirates are a non-issue. Edit 2, I appreciate the condolences, but I urge everyone to remember that the people delivering these packages are going through a lot right now. I can't imagine the stress of working during a shipping season of unprecedented volume, let alone making it through a year like this, when nearly every tiny bit of normalcy we experience falls on them to deliver. A lot of these folks are probably seasonal temps just trying to do whatever they can to make ends meet during these trying economic times. If I was responsible for carrying the happiness of hundreds of people on my shoulders every day, I'd probably do something like this myself. They're just things anyways, and things are replaceable, and fleeting frustrations will fade to fonder memories that we can laugh at down the line. Happy holidays to all, and blessings to you and yours in the coming year. My mom would do shit like that all the time. Before I moved out, I had a part-time, minimum wage job. Didn't ask my parents for a dime to buy my girlfriend, now my wife, a birthday present. I bought her a robe, a Harry Potter cup, and baked her a cake like the one Hagrid baked for Harry. She loved it. My mom sees it and says, "Oh wow, is that all you got her? You can do better than that." Made me feel about an inch tall. Edit, although this may not come as a surprise, my mom was actually diagnosed with bipolar disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and a plethora of other serious mental health issues. She was offered help but chose to deny it because I don't feel like myself. She slowly pushed me away, and now it's probably been 2 years since I saw her. I moved 450 miles away, and it feels amazing. Holidays are hard because I miss the rest of my family, but they chose to take her side. They fear her. She will make your life hell if you make her mad, and that's very easy to do. I don't have to live like that though. The guilt of knowing I'm missing valuable time with my grandparents is crippling at times, but I always remind myself that it's for the best. Life is so much better without her. I'm proud of my decision though, and for anyone going through the same shit, get away. Get far far away. Change your number, make all social media private and disappear. They will never change and you don't have to deal with it. Edit, thank you for the award. I was not expecting the amount of support for my little story. I just want to say this, don't be afraid to cut out truly toxic people. There's nothing wrong with working on relationships and giving second chances, but know when enough is enough. You are good enough. I'll tell last year's story. My dad and his wife live in the Midwest. My wife and I live in California. In September, my dad had asked my wife and I to consider moving to the same Midwest city as him and his wife. My dad said he'd help us with moving expenses, buying a house, or whatever else we needed. My dad and his wife are millionaires, my wife and I are not nearly as well off, but are just starting our careers. My wife and I talked about it, and we liked the city, and the prospect of getting some help buying a house, which we all know is a dying millennial dream, was enough for us to say yes. My dad and his wife had just purchased a new home and told us that as soon as they sold their old home, they'd co-sign and / or help with a down payment on a house in their city. They hooked us up with their realtor right away and informed their realtor of the game plan. We're looking at homes online the entire time and making a list of houses to view when we return to the Midwest for Christmas. Fast forward 3 months. Christmas morning, after opening presents, in front of the entire family, my dad tells me that he's decided he wants to put in a pool and doesn't want to help us buy a house. He then avoids me for the next 3 days, and the night before my wife and I are supposed to fly back out, I've had enough. I tell my wife to pack her bags and we'll stay in a hotel the last night. My dad overhears us talking about it, interjects, after literally not seeing him for 3 days, despite being in the same house, and I calmly confront him about the entire situation. His wife flies off the handle and literally bum rushes me from across the room, completely unprovoked. My dad has to restrain her. She tells me to leave and never come back. My dad backs her up and says, "Yeah, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police." I scoffed, pointed out that we were already leaving, and called an Uber. Haven't talked to him since. We blocked him and his wife. A year later, my wife and I are 6 months pregnant. I just got my dream job making great money. My dad has no idea about either. Additionally, my brother and his girlfriend refused to visit my dad for Christmas and have more or less cut contact with my dad and his wife. TLDR, Dad is a POS and now his kids want nothing to do with him. My stupid fucking uncle. The story behind why I hate him is long and involved, but every year I hate him and my awful cousins just a little bit more. This year though? Fuck him. My 83-year-old grandma had been caring for my 88-year-old grandpa with dementia, incontinence, and legs so bad he could barely stand, let alone get around. My grandfather was horrible to her because he was so confused he couldn't figure things out and lashed out at her. My mom went up and helped as much as she could, and I did too. My uncle never lifted a motherfucking finger, but made her feel guilty about putting him in respite care because of COVID. She was all alone, no outside help could come in because of COVID. And yet he bitched at her for even thinking about putting him in respite just so she could get a break from the 24-hour care. She eventually snapped and had a mental breakdown from the stress and ended up putting my grandpa in respite, where unfortunately he suffered a stroke and died a couple of months later. Did my uncle help plan arrangements? No. Did he go to my grandma's at all the day he died? No. Then he insulted my mom because she didn't personally give him the funeral plans even though my aunt was there the whole time and could have told him at any time. Then he actually whines about not having a traditional Thanksgiving dinner and made my grandma feel so guilty that she prepared dinner for his family by herself, 1 month after my grandfather's death. And did his usual thing of arriving 2 hours late, leaving her sitting there trying to keep food warm. Like she has to do every year. This year I said fuck that, I'll have Christmas here and you do whatever the fuck you want, but it will not involve guilting my grandma again to make a whole Christmas dinner for your selfish, whiny ass.